Hello everybody and welcome once again to the OSCA Series race here at Dover International Speedway. And tonight we got some good action here with the trucks. Race number 4 of the OSCA Series, and I'm your host Michael Goodman, and along with me is Kenneth Bueno. Kenneth, we got a good race I think lined up for us here tonight at the Monster Mile.
We certainly do, Mike, and this is going to be, again, another short track thriller. When we saw New Hampshire and some of the chaos and some of the great racing we also saw there, kind of dipping it down a little bit to a different venue, a lot more banking. This track is way more abrasive and has a lot more to deal with than what you see in New Hampshire. So this is going to be a lot of fun. The trucks certainly can take a beating here at a track like Dover, and certainly going to amp up some of the short track intensity that we've already seen from last week.
Yeah, if we could take a closer look at Dover, it's a track that was built in 1969. It was repaved with the asphalt, or the concrete in 1995. It is a 1 mile in length, 24 degrees of banking, and I would kind of describe Dover, again, it's known as the Monster Mile, but it's kind of like Bristol on steroids a little bit.
Yeah, it certainly is. There's a lot more banking. Obviously, Bristol is way shorter, and it feels more like a stadium and a bowl rather than Dover. It feels a lot larger, but Dover has all the banking you can offer, and it's such a treacherous track. I mean, I think what you can kind of categorize from Bristol, or at least from Dover, that is different from Bristol, is the way that the drivers come off of the corners. You're going off of that 24-degree banking. You head straight to the 9-degree banking, but the car likes to drift all the way up to the outside wall, and that's really where you want to put it. But the problem is that wall comes up so quick to the moment where you can either not notice it, and you can go straight in the outside wall and have heavy consequences to the end if you try to push your truck a little bit too much. That's going to be something I want to watch for. But Dover is definitely not for the faint-hearted, and it's certainly not one of the easier tracks that we see here on the schedule.
It's again, there's a reason it's nicknamed the Monster Mile. I think the calamity corners are going to be coming out of turn 2 and turn 4 as we see qualifying getting underway, and you can just see the upcoming schedule here for OSCA. As you see, week number 4, we're here at Dover. Next week, Martinsville, so we go to the flat short track next week. That should always be an interesting one. And then we kind of get back into the normal NASCAR style 1.5 mile tracks at Kansas, week 6. Gateway, that should be a fun one here too. Michigan always puts on a pretty good show for these trucks. and then we go to Bristol, get back on the concrete in just a couple weeks. As you can see, the rest of the schedule plays out. After kind of a wild, aggressive week that we saw last week, Kenneth, what do you kind of expect here from Dover? Do you expect things maybe to be a little calmer, or are we going to see maybe some of that aggressiveness come out to play once again here in this event?
Well, I think you have to be a lot more cautious with this race, because over at New Hampshire, it's a lot more flat. You have those straightaways to help you out, so you can easily be the driver to outbrake the other going in a corner. You can try to send it a little bit to make those slide jobs, and we saw that a lot, Mike. It was a very exciting with the drivers doing that and sliding all over the track. Here at Dover, you can't really perform those kind of moves because you don't have those lanes to give you those options. You can't really run the second lane. You can maybe run half a groove up the track, but you want to be all the way at the bottom of the venue. That's exactly where you're going to have the most momentum and where you're going to be the fastest around this track. So I don't think any of the aggression probably will amp up in the corners. I think a lot of it could happen in terms of passing, maybe drivers maybe giving the bumper a little bit to move a driver out of the way. That's probably where I'll see it, but I think maybe compared to what we saw in New Hampshire, the driver's going to tone it down a little bit, but it still is going to be tough on them nonetheless.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one, and it's hard to be too wide coming out of the exits of these corners, and it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Let's see if we can get the starting lineup here for the Suicide Awareness 100, and on the front row, it's going to be starting on the pole. It's the bad boy, Ryan Lutz. Alongside of him, it's his best buddy, Blake Barney in the 00. And starting in the third row in the number 5 truck is Dominic Currit, and right alongside of him in the 96 machine is Adam Tepe.
Riley Marabello in the 09 saying what might be his best performance at this track yet. He'll start tonight from 7th with Vincent Isabella in the 42, rounding out your top 8 in row number 4.
In row number 5, it's the 20 truck of Shane DiMantova. He's looking to send it from the 9th position, and alongside him is the points leader, Gerald Campbell.
Austin Beers in the 99 will roll off 11th, and the 90 of Johnny Eckert will be right alongside him in the 12th. That's your row number 6.
Row number 7 in the 44 truck, it's Dusty the Dragon Dewar, and right alongside of him in the 08 is Alex Buffoli.
Then behind them, you'll find the 56 of Tate Lido going to be rolling way deep in the field in 15th with Josh Duke, former driver who was pretty good over at Daytona. He'll start all the way in the back in 16th in this 32 machine.
In row number 9, in that beautiful number 2 truck is David Westergreen, and alongside of him, starting in the 18th position, is the 4 truck of Chris Jordan.
Then behind them, you'll find the 24 of Steven Schumann in the brand Yellow Bojangles number 24 Chevrolet Silverado rolling off 19th, and rounding out your top 20 will be the number 23 the DoorDash truck of Harrison Tylon.
In the 21st spot in that 84 truck is going to be Robert Hill Jr., and alongside him in the 53 machine is going to be Chase Rogers.
Then behind them, Nicholas Monticelli in the 93 will roll from 23rd, with Glenn Bundren Jr. making his first start tonight in the truck. He'll start in 24th.
In the 13th row, we got Nicholas Sneed in the 62 truck, and alongside him, Matt Arcara. He'll be looking to go up to the front.
And the final driver in this grid is the 97 of Levi Zelensky. I believe one of the drivers all the way in the rear, Corey Shepard, who was supposed to make the green flag. He has not, so Zelensky will be the final driver in this field. All the drivers, as you see, them all lined up behind the iRacing official pace truck, Lutz and Barney on this front row.
Here in the Suicide Awareness 100, we have two 50-lap segments, or heats, and the top 7 will be inverted, but the pace truck's diving off, and the bad boy Ryan Lutz alongside his buddy Blake Barney are going to lead him to the green flag. As we see, the pace truck is off, and here we go for the Suicide Awareness 100 here at Dover. And a good jump for Lutz as he pulls away from Barney, going down into turn number 1, and he's going to arc it down, and he's going to take the lead here early on in this event as things kind of single file out between the top 3 as we look back battling for that 4th position. That's going to be Tepe trying to get some heat from Carpenter, but he's now got some heat from Vincent Isabella in that pink 42 truck.
See ample of battles behind. There's Riley Marabello. A lot of drivers staying saying double wide, but the thing here, Mike, is that we're going to see drivers easily going to single file. You do not want to spend a lot of time side by side, especially if you're on the bottom, especially knowing that the drivers up top can easily hit the wall, and you have to run a tighter entry and exit throughout this entire racetrack. So already, handful of the 2 wide battles have now become single file, but so far, Riley Marabello Curry holding strong with a 6 right up top.
Yes, I believe there is a wreck on the speedway here as we hit a caution, and the 44 truck of Dewar, and I believe that's the 53 that's Edwards, if I'm not mistaken. So unfortunate situation there, and it could have been one of those situations where you talked about you don't want it, or it's Chase Rogers in the 53 truck, I apologize, where you don't want to be side by side as we look up the replay here and see exactly what happened in this incident. And so we take a look here. Looks like the 53 truck. Oh, no, it was between Tate Lytle and the 44. And it's, again, don't want to be side by side coming out of these corners. As you see, I think Lytle pushes into the wall, tries to get down, and Dewar just nowhere to go. He's right there. A couple other trucks. That's the 24 truck of Schumann. That's where Edwards got involved too. Heavy damage to that 44 truck. I believe he's going to be looking forward to segment number 2, but unfortunate for him very early on here in this event. And it looks like Lytle, yeah, he's got some heavy damage as well. As we get the onboard view of Tate Lytle coming out of that corner, and it just pushes up a little bit, and it just gets a little loose. I don't know, maybe, Kenneth, does that look like maybe a little bit of net code between him and maybe the truck in front of him?
Not exactly sure whether that was netcode between the two. I think it just might have been Lytle getting loose off the corner, just trying to ensure that his truck did not strike the outside wall. Remember, you have that POV in the race truck, but you can kind of get that field of depth as to where or how far things are around you. Sometimes the nose feels closer to the wall than it actually is, and I think maybe Lytle had that situation and swerved down right into the 44, trying to catch the truck, and then both of them going hard into the inside wall, and then collecting Chase Rogers as well. I think Steven Schumann also collected some damage, and indeed he does have some, so right now he's down pit road getting that fixed. But a lot of drivers issued in an incident on lap number 3 of the 50 scheduled here tonight. That's exactly what I was talking about, Mike. Staying too wide, you don't really want to favor that, because one driver makes a mistake up top, goes straight into you, and all of a sudden that calamity comes through.
Yeah, calamity did come through, and I think another thing that you were talking about too, Kenneth, was that banking transition from that 24 degrees to the 9, and there's that little bit of a dip, and that's where you can kind of get pushed up towards the wall. And in that replay, I think you can kind of see a little bit of a rear end slide by Lytle, and that's probably maybe what happened to him there. But as we look at some of these trucks running in the top 10, some pretty cool schemes coming out here tonight. Some pretty cool pink themed schemes and some teal blue here again in the Suicide Awareness 100 here at Dover for OSCA. And but yeah, it's just, you don't want to be too wide for too long, and that's just what will happen, and that's maybe some of the calamity we will see. That's probably going to be the hot word that we use tonight. And I believe Mike Joy always said, or maybe it was Darrell Waltrip back in the early Fox Sports days, they always called this a self-cleaning racetrack, and it kind of appeared that was kind of what happened in that case, collecting a lot of trucks. But again, you know, this is the 50 laps. We're at lap 6 of 50 in this segment, but again, there's a segment number 2 where some of those guys that had that bad luck, they can rebound and salvage a night of it by running up front in the next series. So, and I believe this is what they're doing right now is I believe I'm using this term correctly. It's the Delaware start, where the leader gets his own lane and everyone behind him doubles up. So that's something new implemented for OSCA in this event, as they see him kind of double filing up behind him. I believe I got that name right, Kenneth. Is that what it was called?
Yes, you got it right. Delaware restarts, used most notably in the Dirt series, or at least from the World of Outlaws. And I think the officials and Big Bloom and the owner of the series were talking about implementing this new style of restarts after the calamity at New Hampshire in the second segment last week. So trying to use this as sort of a remedy for some of the chaos, at least between the leaders, and maybe trying to help out, especially with the leader jumping the start, making sure nobody else goes ahead of him and for the case of Ryan Lutz, this will be an easy start. He'll have the clean air, and he'll have nobody alongside of him to challenge into turn 1. So he can use whatever line he wants. He can arc that corner the best way he can. And as the field will come to turn 3 with the 1 to green signal by the pace truck, Lutz should have a relatively easy run to the front of the field again.
Yeah, we'll be ready to see how that how this new Delaware restart works out. This will be the first time it's implemented, as OSCA's never afraid to try something a little bit different. And it's kind of cool that they implemented something that you don't quite see every day. But it appears that it looked like they're doubling up, but I think they have another lap under yellow here. And again, for this heat, the top 7 will invert. So if this were the 60th lap, obviously we have a long way to go. The 5 truck running in 7th, Dominic Cruitt, would be starting on his own front row, or I think they'll double up on the first restart, but he'll be starting up front in segment number 2. So kind of an interesting layout here as well. Is one thing they have done. Invert a certain number of drivers, as we've seen in the OSCA series. Kind of changes week to week if you're new to the series, kind of mixing things up and kind of maybe giving somebody else a chance to be up front. And one truck we haven't had quite a chance to see if he can get up front is that 6 truck of Gerald Campbell. So you got to keep an eye out on him. He's back in the 9th position. He's usually a guy to find his way up to the front. And here we go, going back to green. And we'll see the pace truck dive off here in a second. And we'll see Ryan Lutz take the green flag as the pace truck's off. A little while until they get to the restart zone. And the green flag is out. Ryan Lutz will hit the hammer pedal, and here we go. And a good start on the outside by the 52 truck of Gabriel Edwards. But like you said, Lutz gets that good line going into the corner. He's going to try to pull away, but Barney's bringing on the heat in that 2nd position, trying to get by that 52 truck. Vincent Isabel is kind of waiting for that battle to hammer out. He's looking for a place to go. Right now, it's nothing's been settled between that 52 and 00.
And Blake Barney, he has that history with Ryan Lutz, as you saw at New Hampshire in that first segment, going toe-to-toe for the race lead, but it seems as though it'll file out. A good move by the outside from the 52 of Gabriel Edwards to get around. Probably expected the 00 to surge forward with that bottom group help. It seems as though the 00 will have to settle for 3rd. Everybody within the top 5 are single file. You might get to the first battle behind Dominic Cruitt in the 5, a little 3-car train, as everyone trying to hold on so far on lap 11.
There we see that points leader, Gerald Campbell, in that 6 truck, that white 6 truck, a little different scheme than he's used to running here in the OSCA series. And he's going to try to get that battle on the outside, where it looks like that's going to be the place where he's going to get that good run. But so far, nothing quite doing, but the 5 truck of Cruitt cannot clear him. And I think now he'll be able to, as Campbell will tuck behind the number 5 truck and settle into that 7th spot. Behind him, we do have a battle between Eckert and that's Carpenter in the 71 truck. So he's kind of thin out here. So so far, again, a lot calmer. But now we see that 6 truck dive low, trying to get that 6th position, and it looks like Campbell will prevail this time by, as Cruitt's going to try. No, he gets into the wall a little bit. He was trying to get that run to get in behind or ahead of Carpenter, but will have to settle to tuck in behind him.
That was just tough, and that's exactly what I was talking about. Having a scrape at the outside wall is definitely not fun, because then you try to jerk the car back to the left, and the truck can easily get unsettled as you're watching the battle, or not the battle for the lead. It might as well a pull away for the lead. 0.6 of a second, now 0.7 for Ryan Lutz. And Mike, I think this is just one of the things you see out of the driving characteristics of Ryan Lutz. So strong at the short tracks. We saw it at New Hampshire, where he practically dominated a good amount of the race and was able to contend for the lead, one of the dominant drivers along with Blake Barney. And right now, with a brand new paint scheme in the black and blue colors on his Chevrolet Silverado, he is again showing that prowess and pulling away from the rest of this field, showing that distinction.
We do have another caution out on the speedway here, as looks like something might have happened. Ooh, looks like Levi Zielinski once again having some bad luck. Man, he can't catch a break. And looks like the 08 truck as well has a little bit of damage. See if we can get a replay. Ooh, Harrison Talion in that 23 truck must have got it collected there as well, as he's got some damage, but we'll look back at the replay. See what happened here. This looks like some of these trucks may have already had damage. A little bit of connection issues there for Talion. But I'll see the 62 truck as well has damage. But I think what we'll do here, as we're under caution, I think we have trying to fix some things. We'll go to a quick commercial break. Back on the other side, we'll try to get this ironed out. So stay tuned. You're watching the Suicide Awareness 100 here at Dover in the OSCA Series.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics and engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
And welcome back to the Suicide Awareness 100 here for the OSCA Series right here on KBRN. And we did, while we were at break, as you might have seen on the side ticker there, or the side screen, some cars went down pit road. 5 stayed out, your top 5, and Vincent Isabella is now your new leader. In second spot is going to be Eckert. Third place, Marabello. Fourth place, Di Mantova. Fifth spot is going to be Monticelli. And then the first car that won the race off pit road is the 52 truck of Gabriel Edwards. So now with we're going to get the restart with about 30 to go here in this segment. And it's going to be hard for Ryan Lutz to see if he can get back up front. He's been on a tear, as you were talking about right before the caution came out. Ryan Lutz he's been on a hot streak here this week. In one of his other leagues he runs, he's pulled off a sweep. On 4 events, he's won 4 straight of them. And again, counting back to last Thursday, winning segment number 2 at New Hampshire. So he's looking to keep that hot streak continuing and rolling here, but he's got some work to do now with those 5 trucks ahead of him. But it looks like the pace truck lights are off as we're going to get ready to go back to green, and let's see what that pink truck of Vincent Isabella can do up front. Can he hang on to the lead with those old tires? We've seen him do it before, but can he do it again? He did it at Homestead just a couple weeks ago. And here we go back to green. Vincent Isabella is going to lead him off as they're going to dive down into turn number 1. Eckert and Marbello are going to try to see if they can stay right behind that bumper of the 42 truck. The 90 truck will of Eckert, and Marbello will have to file on the inside, but it's going to be too wide behind him and charging up to the front, trying to get that run on the outside is Ryan Lutz, as he's already moved his way up into that 4th position. He is going to be aggressive, trying to get back to that lead. And right now, too, it looks like the 90 truck's trying to get underneath the 42 of Vincent Isabella. So far, nothing doing. And the crossover move here for Ryan Lutz as they head down into turn number 3. He's looking for more.
And now Lutz will surge to the inside of the 09 of Marabella. Remember, he was one of the drivers that went down pit road and one of those on the fresh rubber. But how about looking all the way back, almost 3 wide between Blake Barney, Matt Arcara, and the 52 of Gabriel Edwards. They are in a scramble for position within the top 9 or so. A little bit of a wiggle there by the 52 in 7th. Remember, that's the final spot in this segment to take over the race lead in the second one when we get to the second 50-lap surge in the rest of this race. But so far, a lot of battles pursuing early in this one, but Ryan Lutz already up to 2nd and now charging to the inside for the race lead.
Here comes Ryan Lutz. It didn't take him too long to get back into that top spot as he clears the 42 truck of Vincent Isabella, and he's pulling away. He's already got about a 0.2 of a second lead, but the battles behind them, it's heating up. Ooh, almost a little contact between the 5 and the 2, but everything stays good there. And Levi Zielinski, you know, we talked about the bad luck he's had. He's back up there trying to run best he can, and here we look in the dash cam here of the 00 Blake Barney as he's trying to get up to that 7th spot. He wants to start on the front row if he can, maybe even get a little bit more if all possible. He's hounded down his teammate of that 20 of Shane DiMantova, and here he'll look on the inside going into 1. Looks like he'll be able to take it, and oh, look who's coming. Should have guessed it. It's that 6 truck of Gerald Campbell. He's our points leader.
And this is the mix of drivers that went down pit road and the drivers that stayed out. It was about a 25-lap stint, so you can tell just the difference between the new tires and the old ones. Not necessarily proving to be a big factor. I probably expected the drivers on the new tires to just go surging or sailing through the entire field and getting all those positions, but it seems as though they're kind of methodically doing so. You have to really choose and pick your placement here at Dover. As you saw, I believe it was the 90 of Johnny Eckert, who was standing in 2nd, went to the outside line and has lost about 2 positions here from Campbell and Riley Marabello. So that continues to file in as Blake Barney will look to the inside, almost 3 wide, but no space to get it done. And he's one of those drivers frustrated to get through on the fresh rubber.
Like things are gonna get heated up there as they're almost looking 3 wide at Dover. That's never a no-go. But how about that 2 truck behind them? David Westergreen moving up to the 9th spot. He's got that fresh rubber. He's looking to take advantage of that as well. He started all the way back in 17th, but he's looking for more. He's trying to get that 7th spot from Eckert. He's gonna look on the inside, and by he goes in that but beautiful Menards Chevy. And I think up ahead too, Barney, as we were just talking about him, he's looking to surge back up front as well. He's trying to get by Gabriel Edwards, who did get new tires also, but he's got 2 trucks ahead of him in Vincent Isabella and Marbello in that 09 truck that they stayed on old tires, and it looks like, ooh, that 42 truck's fading a little bit on those old tires, trying to hang on. He's gonna lose a few positions as Barney continues that surge up front as well. There's a lot of action going on the racetrack here, Kenneth. And Westergreen, he's still looking to move up towards the front.
And good thing for Westergreen here, has had a struggling couple of races to open this season. And for this to have a good run here at Dover, and so far still carving in positions and gaining, picking at those spots, this is a very good sign for things to come for that number 2 machine after having a couple crashes a couple weeks back. And now the 2 of Westergreen has already been carving through the field, and now we'll have a shot at the 09 and Riley Marabello. Remember, all of these drivers now on fresh tires are starting to get themselves within the top 5, and that includes Gerald Campbell, who has now been closing in by a couple of tenths. The last time by, he was a tenth faster at a 23.168, while Lutz ran a 23.281. So don't take your eyes off the battle for the race lead, as we've got 20 laps to go in this first segment from Dover.
Yeah, we'll see if Gerald Campbell can run him down. But here we go. Westergreen's he's gotten into the top 5. He's still looking for more. And I think that would be such a huge, as the 52 truck gets into the wall. And the 99, the short track kid, Austin Beers, he's looking to get back up towards the front. But again, you have that David Westergreen in that 4th spot. That's a huge bounce back. Just some of the terrible luck he's had so far this season. That's an awesome run for the number 2 truck. But things are still heating up in towards the tail end of, right around the tail end of the top 10 here. Or I believe that's right around the 14th, 15th on back positions here. That's Carpenter's in 14th, as he's going to try to get up through the field here. And some of those guys that did not pit, I think the highest running, I believe it was an 08 truck getting into the wall. That's of Buffoli. But one of the things that I've noticed out of the cars that trucks that stayed out, the top running guy is Riley Marbello in the 6th spot. So it might not have quite paid off to stay out on those old tires as maybe they were hoping.
Yeah, currently running in 6th. Yeah, he is indeed the highest running driver that did stay out on the older tires and did not go down pit road. Remember, talked with Riley Marabello just a handful of weeks ago prior to a Dover race in another league, and he told me this was one of his best tracks on the iRacing platform. This is a track that he's enjoyed racing at so much and that he's performed very well at, and right now it is proving to be so. In that 6th spot, even with the old tires, he fell a couple positions due to the guys on the fresh rubber, obviously, but compared to the rest of the guys who also did not pit, Marabello's done a better job of hanging on to that truck and keeping that pace. So right now, still keeping pace with the 99 of Austin Beers, who also went down pit road as well. So give credit to Marabello on what he's been able to do at what he considers his best track.
Yeah, he's gonna be looking to get the fresh rubber after this segment, or they'll get whole new trucks after this segment, and he'll be looking to charge up towards the front. See, he's still in that position. He'll be starting in the 2nd spot if things stand put for him. But as of right now, Ryan Lutz, a 2.1 second lead over Gerald Campbell. So again, another dominating performance here for that 36 truck, as he continues to lead. But again, another good points day for that six truck of Gerald Campbell. And one battle too, I'm really surprised here too that, again, we talked about that great run for Westergreen. He's trying to put that heat on that 00 truck of Blake Barney. It's closed ever so slightly on him. I think he's about 3/10 of a second behind him a couple laps ago. It's about down right now to a little bit under 2/10 of a second. He's going to try to see if he can get into that top 3 spot by the time this one is over. And again, we look back at these two ID racing machines. These are two guys that stayed out there in the 8th and 9th spot. They're trying to duke it out. We've seen Isabella restart on the front row once after this green flag came out. And one thing I should note here, I don't know if this is going to come into play, but we do have that 10-minute caution clock. With 10 laps to go, Kenneth, it might be pretty close if that caution clock will come out or not, if there is no incident with just about 10 laps to go here.
Yeah, we'll probably keep an eye on that as we're edging in on the last 9 laps or so in this race. It doesn't take a terribly long time to get around here at Dover compared to, I think, what took a little bit longer over at New Hampshire. So I don't think the caution clock may come into factor here, but if it does, it is going to be right in the waning moments of the race, and I don't think that's exactly what Ryan Lutz wants to see, especially with the gap that he has now, 2.5 seconds. I mentioned that Gerald Campbell was starting to cut into it a little bit, but over this long run, Lutz has proven to stretch it out just a little bit more. So for that 36, again, another dominating run. I think a little bit of redemption after what happened in the first segment, where him and Blake Barney were so aggressive that they lost touch of the race win in that first segment. Lutz was able to carve it back and get that win in the second segment at New Hampshire. So I think, Mike, this might be the first time, if he wins this segment, that a driver wins 2 in a row so far in this season.
Yeah, I believe Gerald Campbell was the only driver that has 2 wins, so he'll be the first repeat winner here in OSCA, so that would be kind of cool to see. But I'm sure Gerald Campbell wants to be the first 3-time winner if all things are being said here. But as of right now, that battle between the 3rd spot looks like Blake Barney is pulling away, but there we see Austin Beers again. He had a little bit of trouble. You see a little bit of damage on the nose of his truck. He still battling there in the 5th position. We see Westergreen kind of fading back there a little bit, but he's going to try to hang on for that top 5 spot. As we see now that Di Mantova got around Vincent Isabella, but now he's got caution. And I believe caution for the caution clock. So we did have it with 5 laps to go. So that's something Lutz did not want to see. And now you're at that point. We've seen how fast Lutz charged through the field on those fresh tires, Kenneth. What do you do, to pit or not to pit?
I think if you're looking to be Ryan Lutz or any of the drivers that went down pit road the last time we had a yellow, you have to pit this time by, because there is no way that you're going to be surviving on your own and not get swallowed by everybody else. Remember, the drivers who didn't pit, starting with Riley Marabello, who had pitted 46 laps ago. He has not pitted at all in this first segment. Him and the rest of the guys who did not pit on that first yellow, they're going to now decide to pit. They're going to want those fresh tires, and they're already the indication for Lutz. Everybody else on the lead lap will be to pit. Actually, no. Gerald Campbell will elect to stay out with Blake Barney. So this is a key strategy here to stay up front in this race. The problem is everybody behind is going down pit road. Vincent Isabella and David Carpenter will also join the fray, but these are a lot of the field here, Michael. More than 75% of it going down pit road versus those that stayed out here.
You know, when you're the leader, you're kind of darned if you do, darned if you don't. And a couple of trucks taking advantage. I was kind of surprised to see the guy in the third spot in that 42 truck, Vincent Isabella, stay out. He has not pitted on tires, so he's going to try to go the whole 50 laps on that set of Goodyears. We'll see what he can do. So that'll give a little bit of buffer for these two trucks in front of Blake Barney in the 00 in second spot. And again, Gerald Campbell trying to take advantage. We've seen him. He always puts himself in position. That's what he said. He's our points leader. He doesn't care about the points, but he wants to put himself in that spot. Maybe some guys taking two tires here of the 20 truck of Di Mantova and Riley Marbello in the 09 as Lutz comes out in seventh spot, and he's only going to have a handful of laps to see if he can get back up towards the front. It's going to be a tall order, I think, here, Kenneth. With some of these guys, I believe it's right around. I think they pit on lap 25, I believe it was around there. So it was about halfway through. We'll see. Lutz did it relatively quick, but I think we're going to have just about a green-white checkered restart. I think time is going to be a factor for Lutz if he wants to get back up and be that first repeat winner.
And time might run out here, Mike. I mean, there's a lot of drivers on the fresh tires, starting with Di Mantova and Marabello, making that strategy apart from Ryan Lutz. But if they had a couple more laps, I think if they restarted with about 5 laps ago, I think the drivers on the fresh tires would have at least some sort of time to get around and at least go to the top 3, and Lutz could have a shot to go back to point position where he has been pretty much all segment long. However, we saw it there, Mike. After that first caution, even drivers who got fresh tires, they had a little bit of trouble getting around the drivers who did not pit, and it was a significant difference in laps in terms of the drivers, how many laps the driver had on his tires versus pretty much fresh rubber that the drivers had when they pitted. So it's going to be a tall order here for Lutz, and I think the time might not come to his favor, and this could be another one that has slipped away from his fingers. We'll see if the 6 of Campbell will be able to hold on, because I know Barney and Isabella are also hard chargers. David Carpenter haven't talked about him much, but he has also been fairly aggressive and has been able to get up a lot of positions in this segment. And we'll just see. Di Mantova, Marabello will be the first two leading the fresh tire brigade. It's going to be a tough call here as to whether Campbell and these guys can hold on, as we've got the 1 green signal by the pace truck.
Yeah, they'll double him up, and Campbell will get his position ahead of the field here on his own row. And it's going to be interesting to see what these guys who just pit or came down pit road, what are they going to do? How hard are they going to try to get whatever they can get, maybe thinking they can get that win? They're only going to have a couple laps to do it. We'll see how this plays out. We're going to duke this one out here in the final couple laps of the Suicide Awareness 100 here at Dover. And yeah, I'm really curious. I'm wondering if you're a guy like Isabella, you're probably staying out with about 50 lap old tires just to try to salvage what you can get. And you know Barney in the 00, the 6 of Gerald Campbell, they're going to try to go for that win, which I'm sure Vincent Isabella will as well. I should say that. But you know those guys behind him from basically 7th on back, they're going to try to get whatever they can on that fresh rubber. So we might see a little bit of mayhem here. We're about to find out as the pace truck dives down onto pit road. And here we go. This is going to settle it. right here as Gerald Campbell will take the green for the green-white checkered here in the Suicide Awareness 100, segment number 1. Isabella gets a great jump on the outside as they dive into turn number 1, but it looks like nothing's going to be quite doing there, and he's going to have the 00 truck of Blake Barney right below him, and he's going to try. Oh, and they're wrecking behind. Oh, the 09 truck. I think Westergreen evolved again. Heavy contact there, and it looked like things got a little crazy. And man, oh man, unfortunate break there for a couple of those trucks. Carpenter, heavy damage on his truck. Whew, as the dust settles here, I believe we'll have another green-white checkered, so there's going to be another chance for another chance. Or is there? I believe there might be unlimited green-white checkers for this. So this could be a little bit while as we take a look at the replay of what quite happened. I wasn't sure. Looked like the 71 and the 09 get together. Coming on at turn number 2. Oh, it looks like he just made a little contact. Westergreen made a little bit of contact with the 09. I think he'll be all right. Yeah, just a little touch there, and around they go. And oh man, and then just kind of mayhem behind him. That self-cleaning racetrack. Sometimes it's the only place to go at the time is to go to the bottom, but that's usually where all the cars will end up here at Dover.
And he saw there the 84 Robert Hill Jr. going straight into the inside wall. David Westergreen also got contact, and that's what I was talking about at the top of the broadcast. Drivers pushing their way through and trying to give a little bit of a bump to make sure they can shove him up the racetrack, but that was definitely not the right place. And Marabello getting into the 71 of Carpenter, well, right on board with him as he was exiting turn 2. You see right there, that little bit of contact to the rear quarter is just enough to send him around and then go sailing up the racetrack. More contact with Adam Tepe, and then at the moment the engine just goes straight out of it and blows up. And very hard contact for the driver who was at a shot to potentially win this segment.
Yeah, he was, being his favorite track, he was looking forward for a good run. Had one going, but he'll have to see if he can salvage it in segment number 2 as we get lined up again for another green-white checkered restart. And now, I think Ryan Lutz, the first car that took 4 tires, is going to be in 5th. Shane DiMantova in 4th, I believe, is the truck that took 2. But so far, the strategy is staying out with the way things played out, which we still got a lot to be settled here. They're still in the top 3 with Campbell in 1st, Barney in 2nd, and Isabella in 3rd. And I'm hoping we're done, but we might not be done yet because I think that 36 truck again too. He's going to be looking to get that win, and there's a couple of new guys up in that top 10 that are looking to get up to the front as well. In 6th spot, Johnny Eckert, and right now in the kind of that transfer position in 7th spot is Austin Beers. We talked about some of the things, how he had to rebound and salvage his day, and able to work his way back up into that top 10. Levi Zielinski again, he's in 9th with that damage on the front end of his truck. He's going to be looking to get a good restart here and salvage that day. And David Westergreen, we've seen him all the way up try to battle for that 3rd spot. He's running 4th, got a little bit of damage, but hopefully he can bring it around and keep a solid top 10 run going for him as well. But a lot to be settled as I think we're just about to take one to go to green here. Kenneth, what are your predictions for this green-white checkered restart?
I think what we saw there, we might just see another heap of contact and maybe another wreck off turn 2. And I probably didn't mention it that turn 2 probably was going to be a trouble spot. We saw it at New Hampshire where coming off turn 2, especially fresh off a restart, you see drivers right in the midst of things, going 3 wide, going 2 wide, trying to edge for as much as they can, especially in these waning laps where every point matters. And then they get into contact, they get into the driver, and then all of a sudden we end up with another yellow and then having to rebunch the field again. But with Gerald Campbell, I think this Delaware restart will give him even more of an edge. We saw Vincent Isabella get a good jump, and he was able to get close enough to Gerald Campbell, not enough to go side by side. However, I think this is giving Campbell enough time to analyze what he's going to do, and especially with the buffer he has here with the 42 on no tires throughout this entire race and Barney on the same set, that Campbell's speed alone can help him and at least push the drivers on the fresh tires out of the conversation, and he can hold on. It's only 2 laps to do it. only 2 miles, so it's not too far of a stretch. I think Campbell will shoot out to the lead. The buffer for Barney and Isabella will be too much for DeMantova and the rest to handle. And we might see Campbell taking away another segment win as the points leader going into tonight.
And we'll see how it shapes up as the pace truck's going to be ready to dive down pit road. And we're going to settle this one out. Hopefully they can bring him around under green here in the final couple laps of the Suicide Awareness 100 as they're getting ready to hit the restart zone. Gerald Campbell's again leading them off here as the green flag's out. Gerald Campbell's going to try to get a good jump, but Barney, he's got a pretty good restart as well. As you see a couple cars pushing each other down into turn number 1, trying to get whatever they can. You see about 4 of those ID Racing trucks painted similar. That's kind of blocking Brian Lutz to get him towards the front, but he's pushing Beers up into the 4th spot. As, oh man, DeMantova's trying to get into that. He's running third, trying to get that 2nd spot as well as the white flag comes out. 1 more lap to go, 1 more trip around this track. Who's going to bring it home? So far, Gerald Campbell, he's holding on strong, but he's got a couple of those ID trucks behind him. And Ryan Lutz is going high. Those ID trucks are going low. They're going to go 3 wide. They're wrecking Barney and Lutz once again. Wreck coming down to the final lap. But here comes, I believe it's Beers. Oh, Beers gets him. Oh, man, Beers at the line. At the line, Beers takes Gerald Campbell as there was contact. And there was a lot going on there in that last lap, Kenneth.
Wow.
What a finish.
Unbelievable finish there. DeMantova forcing the issue. And I was about to mention it on the back straightaway. You saw the driver pushing others into the corners. Austin Beers was that one on the fresh tires and able to succeed at the end there as Campbell. Exactly what I mentioned. The outside wall, so dangerous. And the 99 of Beers winning an electric finish of this segment here at Dover. We'll take another look.
Yeah, the short track kid getting it done here at Dover. He's the guy, you can see him running modifieds in Pennsylvania. He was running them hard tonight. I mean, 4th spot, all the way back and forth. You see Shane DeMantova trying to get that push, and they went 3 wide for a second here. That kind of took out DeMantova and Barney from contention, and just gets that little bit of the bumper. Oh, and Campbell hits the wall as they get together. That was almost kind of reminiscent of the 1979 Daytona 500, the way those two crossed the finish line.
And you'll see it once more here again. You see Ryan Lutz just trying to force the issue on the fresh tires, gets into Blake Barney. This is the 2nd time they made contact after what happened in New Hampshire. You see them both go to the outside wall, and then right here, Gerald Campbell with a runoff turn 4. You see Beers right there giving him that bump that may have sent him a little bit up the racetrack, and then right head on into the outside wall and just barely at the start finish line. This is the gap for the segment win right here to the finish. That's how close it was.
Gets the rear wheels off the ground. Wow. As they both slide across the start finish line. Again, Austin Beers just barely edging the number 6 truck of Gerald Campbell. So again, kind of, you know, it seems like if Gerald Campbell doesn't win these heats, he's always finishing 2nd as they're getting warmed up for segment number 2. And maybe after all that calamity, Kenneth, that we had there, maybe it's time to talk about how you can, if you want to be part of the show, you can ask KBRN. Tell us what you thought of that segment. Hey, you can use hashtag AskKBRN, and we'll try to the best we can to answer your questions here on the broadcast. Because, wow, I'm sure there's some questions and comments or something to be said after that wild finish to segment number 1.
I mean, speechless could be one of them. You could stay speechless after that. I think if I was in the grandstands there, I would probably have no words to say other than just inaudible noises. But, I mean, yeah. Wild stuff to the end there. But you can't ignore some of the speed that happened. I mean, if it weren't for that yellow, we probably would have been talking about a whole different race. We probably would have been talking about the number 36 Ryan Lutz just walking away with the speed that he carried throughout this entire segment. I think in this segment, you have to watch for that again. You have to watch for the drivers who were quick in the long green flag runs in the first segment, because let's say we don't have any yellows, or let's say we only have caution clock yellows and they don't necessarily go down to the wire like it did that last segment by. we'll probably have to keep our eye on those fast ones, and maybe some ones with redemption. Remember, this will be an invert, so the driver who finished in 7th, and let's say Austin Beers and Joe Campbell, they're going to have to start at the rear of the top 7 within the next segment or so. So it's going to be a different challenge, but you can't keep your eyes on the ones who have been so strong. But again, we cannot also not anticipate a wild finish like we saw in segment 1.
Yeah, I think we're going to see some of those trucks. I think on the practice speed chart, the 44 truck of Dusty Dewar, he's up there in the 3rd spot so far. So some of these guys, Marbella, we've seen him have trouble late in the going there as well. Tate Lytle, he was involved in that incident with the 44 as well. So there could be some new players in the game here. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm thinking we're gonna see way more fun. And until then, we got about a minute left, a little over a minute left of practice here before we start segment number 2. So again, we'll take another quick break, and we'll catch you back on the other side.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12-Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
All right, and welcome back here to the Suicide Awareness 100 here at Dover, and the field is getting underway, trying to get to the restart here of segment number 2. Just a quick rundown of the top 10. We got in first spot's going to be Gabriel Edwards. Starting alongside him is going to be Pruitt. Third, Isabella. Fourth, Eckert. Fifth is going to be D. Mantova. Gerald Campbell, our points leader, in 6th, and the winner of segment number 1 is Austin Beers at 7th. Bafoli 8th, Tepe 9th. And Zielinski's going to start 10th as the pace truck dives off. As we're going to head to the green flag, and you can see the rest of the field kind of go across your ticker here, see where your favorite driver is going to start. As Edward leads him off to the green flag here. And we're going to get going here in segment number 2. As Edwards is going to try dive hard down in turn number 1. He's going to take the lead. And, Pruitt blocking down below in front of Vincent Isabella to hold on to that second spot as the dust hasn't been settled behind that 42 truck as they're side by side from about 4th on back. As Campbell is in the wall, and there's a wreck on the backstretch. And there's the two guys who just got done wrecking under that first segment, and a huge crash. And I believe that kind of started with Campbell hitting the wall once again, collecting the 99 truck. So if you're looking forward to seeing maybe those two trucks battle it out again, their nights might be just ending a little bit early with that early contact. And just a big one. Beers gets loose off the bottom of the track, collects Campbell. And again, a bunch of other trucks. 84 Hill. Oh man, the 09. Marbello, he was looking to salvage what he could after segment number 1. Carpenter involved. Westergreen getting some damage. Man, a lot of trucks involved in this one, Kenneth.
Yeah, really big pile of our biggest wreck of the evening. And you see right there as they were slowing down, the 71 of Carpenter gets straight into Marabello, adding more trucks to the mix in that big crash. But it started up with Beers getting loose on the bottom, and we really didn't talk about this much often, Mike, in this race. That apron is fairly dangerous. You can clip that apron just a little bit, and the car, or the truck rather, will unsettle. And you see this happen to the 99. He was working to the inside for position in the top 10. You see him just barely clip it with the splitter, then up the track he goes directly into Campbell. Got the 97 to Zielinski, but a master save by him, and then everybody piling in there. You see the 37 of Glenn Bundren, the 62 also involved. And a big crash to bring us under our first yellow with multiple contenders now in a hole.
Yeah, it's just something you don't want to see again. Second segment in a row that you see trouble early for so many fast trucks. Westergreen had some tough luck there at segment number 1. Monticelli, Lytle, Carpenter, all on pit road trying to fix that damage, maybe trying to salvage what they can out of this heat. And kind of like you said, what you see here too at Dover, a lot of times it can got a dime in that corner to try to stay off the walls, coming out of 2, coming out of 4. And it's so easy to do, like you said, that transition. If you hit that apron, it's going to shoot that car directly up the racetrack. And unfortunately, Gerald Campbell was kind of a victim of circumstance after Austin Beers hit that apron and shot up the racetrack, collecting a whole bunch of trucks. But that took a good chunk of the field got involved in that one, and hopefully a lot of those guys will be able to come back. As one guy who must have got through there masterfully, because that was towards the back end of the top 10. If you notice, Ryan Lutz, after getting in that 3 wide situation on the final lap, kind of causing that incident with Blake Barney. Both of those guys kind of start mid to late teens. As you see, Barney is in the 9th spot with Lutz in 10th as they get back, and they're going to double file him up with Gabriel Edwards getting his own row up to the front. So we're going to get another restart. Hopefully things can be just a little bit calmer here, and maybe let the dust settle just a little bit here, Kenneth, as we're about to go back to green.
And now with the help that some of the drivers have had, getting some incidents, that will help in turn the 36 of Ryan Lutz. Remember, we saw him at the front, almost at a shot with the win, wrecking to the entrance of 3 and 4 at the end of that first segment. He started all the way back in 18th as a result, and now he's gained 7 spots up to 11. So we'll try to monitor to see where Ryan Lutz will stand. But Gabriel Edwards will be on the Delaware restart, and he'll lead us back to the green flag on lap 6.
As you see the pace truck dive down, as they're going to get back going here on lap number 6 of 50. There's still a lot of racing to be had here at the Suicide Awareness 100 here at Dover for the OSCA Series. And Edwards is off, and good jump by the inside line there as Cruitt's going to get a pretty good advantage there over Vincent Isabella, and D. Mantova is going to take that 4th position away. But here comes Levi Zielinski. He's going to look to charge up towards the front. He's moved himself all the way up into the top 5, and he's looking for more as he gets under Isabella. But ooh, he looks like he got a little bit of that transition there and washed up the track just a little bit. But uh-oh, don't look now. Ryan Lutz, he's all the way up into 7th, and you know he's looking for more.
And you see him already at the bottom of the racetrack, already gaining spots. He's already into the top 10 and already hunting to Johnny Eckert of the 90, who had a look to the inside of Levi Zielinski. However, it was not necessarily enough to push his nose further in and then get that position over at about a 4-car train here. And you see a couple of drivers still up the road. Remember, talked about Di Mantova and Isabella with their finishes in their respective segment, now into the top 4. But it's the first time we're seeing a driver really dominate that's not named Ryan Lutz. And Gabriel Edwards still holding strong by about 2/10.
This is what happens when you invert the field. Edwards gets that clean air. He's pulling away a little bit. He's got almost a 3/10 lead over the 5 truck of Dominic Cruitt as he's looking to try to pull away. As you see those 2 ID trucks side by side, Isabella looking to go up into the 3rd spot over his teammate Di Mantova, and it looks like he'll get that spot. But further back, here comes the bad boy, Ryan Lutz, and his buddy's behind him. What are they going to do? They're going to hopefully charge up to the field together. Well, maybe they'll ruffle some feathers once they get up towards the front, as I think they're going to probably try to wait till they get closer to the front before they duke it out. As I'm kind of surprised, there's some pretty heavy damage to that 97 truck of Levi Zielinski in the 5th position, and he's able to hang on to it. Yeah, you see that heavy spoiler damage on the back end of that truck, as you kind of mentioned under that last caution. He got a little bit of a piece of it, but he's able to hang on, show a little bit of speed. Oh, and Lutz and Zielinski look like netcode gets together. Oh, and they're wrecking. Lutz goes around. Oh, stuck in the wall. That's not good. And more trucks on the backstretch getting involved. Whew. I think we had just about an announcer's jinx there.
Oh, and there it's Chase Rogers in the 53, Adam Tepe in the 96. They got collected in this one late. And Tepe might have the hardest damage of them all. And that started there, right to the inside. Aggressive went Lutz to the inside of Zielinski. We spoke right too soon. As you see the 36 dives to the inside, has the space, but then I think washes up the track a little bit and gets over to the 97. Then around he goes down the track, and it seems as though everybody scrambled. A good move by the 08, and then the 96 goes straight down the racetrack right into the 96 of Tepe. You see Tepe running a little bit further back in the field. Bam, right there as he was trying to go around. You see the 26 of Corey Shepard as well. 53 of Edwards. Or not Edwards, Rogers getting into it.
Yeah, nowhere to go for that 96 truck at Tepe. As you see, he tried to bail out the last second on the outside. Couldn't get it done. As you look on that onboard, as you see him going around. Oh, nope, yeah, couldn't get around him. And there he goes. And I think Lutz would have maybe been okay before that hit with Tepe, but again, when it's kind of like a bowling alley down the backstretch here at Dover. You see walls on both sides, and that's where you get all these cars involved. As here you see Bofoli here. Oh. Wow, what a masterful job of getting around that wreck. He was able to perform that last second bail as he gets around him there and keeps his truck clean. As he's moved up into the 4th spot, so it's a good salvage for him there after dodging all that mess. But looks like we see a couple trucks that hit pit road, and just kind of looking quickly, I believe your top 7 right now have stayed out, I believe, or maybe top 6, as Vincent Isabella is the first one to take tires, and he's gonna be right around that 7th, 8th position once we kind of settle everything out here. And it looks like another truck's gonna dive down pit road. Robert Hill's gonna relinquish the 5th spot to get some fresh tires. So it's kind of, now we're seeing a little bit of little cat and mouse games, and we've seen it kind of early on in that stage, in the last segment. Kind of wonder what the you got 14 laps, maybe got about roughly about half of that under green here so far. I'm wondering, staying out here, I don't think is going to be as bad as maybe what we've seen in segment number 1.
Yeah, it could mirror in the reins of what happened in the last segment, where we had a caution around the halfway mark at 20 to 25, and then at that point, people had pitted, people had not, and they expected a long green flag run to follow with a caution clock yellow. So I think that might be the strategy that Cruitt, Edwards, and the rest of the top 6 have in mind, that they're expecting a long green flag run in the cards and a caution clock to come out to give them the chance to go down pit road. And by the time they do, they can also gain track position and also be on the same footing. However, it's going to be interesting to see whether that does shake out, because we've had, I think, a lot more incidents, Mike, to start off this first opening 15 laps of this segment. And so far, it has been rough, and I'm surprised Chase Rogers also didn't go down pit road considering the damage he picked up from that wreck in the Merrill Motorsports entry. However, we'll see how the rest of the guys on fresh tires do. Remember, we saw it in the last winning laps test segment, just how aggressive the fresh tire cars can be versus the ones that aren't on fresh tires. And we'll see if Currit and the rest of the guys who stayed out might be the victim this time around.
Yeah, hopefully not. I think, you do have a little bit more of a buffer with those 8 trucks and maybe not as old of tires as we've seen, under segment number 1, how old some of those guys' tires were. At least 20. Some of them even had about 50 lap older Goodyear Eagles on their trucks. So it might even out a little bit better than it did before. But we're going to get ready to go back to green here next time by. And we'll see some of these trucks that have kind of been in the back all race long. You see that 44 truck, he's kept that nose clean. He was kind of starting in the back of the pack. I believe he started all the way back in 24th. He's currently running right around the 12th position and keeping that nose clean through some of the calamity that happened around him. See if he can take advantage and charge his way up towards the front. But as we get back here, the pace truck's going to get ready to dive off. And Dominique Currit, he's going to lead him down to the green here in that beautiful lime green number 5 truck. As we're getting ready to go back to green here on lap number 16 of 50. Here in the Suicide Awareness 100 here at Dover. But a great start on the outside for Eckert in that 3rd position. As he's going to try to charge on the outside. But it looks like Edwards is going to take advantage as they're coming out of 2. They see a couple of those ID trucks. You see Shane DiMantova already up into that 5th spot with that fresh rubber. So we are seeing that aggressiveness and that hard charging with those 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles charging up towards the front. But he's got a little bit of a roadblock ahead of him between Eckert and the 52 truck of Gabriel Edwards. And so far, a little loose for Barney. And contact! DiMantova goes around. Isabella's involved. Big wreck behind him. Once again, maybe not as many trucks as before, but oh man, some big contenders involved, and that's Rogers, I believe, in the 53 truck or 52. I wasn't right the first time. Getting some damage there as well, and man, I couldn't even speak because some big little shenanigans maybe going down towards pit road. I don't know if Edwards kind of checked up last second, but we'll see kind of what started that. I believe it was between the 2 team trucks that started it. Between Shane DiMantova and that was Rogers in the 52, and just collects them and gets quite a few trucks there involved once again. Rogers bobbling up the track, getting Mantova involved, spinning. Nowhere to go for that 42. I think Matt Arcara in the 45 getting through it as well. 44, Dusty Dewar, that red 44. Just barely sneaking by. But there's some heavy damage to those couple of those ID trucks and Rogers as well on the inside wall. And man, oh man. With all these guys getting involved in these wrecks, we're seeing some new contenders up front here, Kenneth.
And you see right here another look at the wreck from Isabella's view, and just right there DiMantova and the 52 of Edwards gets into it. And I think after the yellow flag had come out, after they were piled in here and they were stuck to the inside wall, I think either the 52 checked up or the 42 got into the back of him as they were exiting or going into the entrance of pit road. We'll see as we're looking again at the onboard. You see him accelerating his race truck. And I think, just going straight for the 52 here. Just not happy with that incident whatsoever. And they both end up there. Heavy damage on either truck. 2 ID Racing machines with heavy damage and might be out of this segment here.
Yeah, and they were looking, they just took those 4 fresh Goodyears. They were trying to charge their way up to the front. But unfortunately, that little bit of bobble by Rogers, unfortunately, ends a couple of nights early. But how about Dusty Dewar in that 4th spot in that 44 truck? A lot of 4s going on there. Again, maybe just a little bit of damage on the back end of his truck. and he's able to climb all the way up to the fourth position, starting in the 24th spot. And I believe right behind him, the 32 truck of Josh Duke. They're the guys that pitted under that last caution as well, so they'll have the freshest tires on this restart. So they're going to be the guys looking to be aggressive. But I got to wonder, Kenneth, too, seeing maybe what you just saw ahead of you, and even though I don't think it was totally the aggressiveness by the 20 truck, it was just that little bit of bobble by Rogers and just nowhere to go for any of these trucks. It's hard if you get loose. There's no room to kind of save it. It wasn't totally just hard driving, maybe like we've seen at the end of segment number 1. But if you're the 44, if you're the 32, and do you try to play a little more conservative?
I mean, you could try in some sort of cases. I think if you're talking about conservatism, you have to fall into the top 3. These guys have not pitted this entire race. They have not decided to go down to get tires or fuel along the way. So if I was Dominic Currid, if I was Johnny Eckert, if I was Alex Buffoli, I would probably be looking here to save and probably not expecting a long green flag run. I mean, maybe they were expecting a last time by, but then got it ruined by that wreck as the fields have been bunching up. I think that's one of the things that we've seen here that's been wildly different from that first segment. We've had a lot more yellows in a shorter span of time. However, I will keep my eyes on Duke and Dorr. They have the cleanest or the freshest tires out of the top 5, so they might be on the charge and they might be aggressive early to try and take over that lead, knowing they have that advantage. So I don't believe a long run might be in the cards here, but we'll just have to find out. But Currid has been doing a massive job of holding on to that lead, and he'll have another good jump this time when we get to the next restart.
Yeah, we'll see how it settles as the pace truck lights are off. He's gonna be ready to dive down pit road, and we'll see who's gonna win this one. It's gonna be someone different, as we've seen a lot of the top contenders of last segment get involved in early wrecks. So as you see the pace truck dive off, we're gonna take the green flag here on lap number 22 of 50. Hopefully these boys can keep her clean, and here we go. Dominic Currid is gonna take the lead in that number 5 machine, as he's gonna dive it down into turn number 1, and behind him, Buffoli and Eckert gonna battle it out for the second spot, and that inside line will prevail once again. As it looks like they're almost getting 3 wide. Dewar trying to get aggressive there behind. I think the 08 truck of Buffoli on those older tires just couldn't quite get the run, and we have another caution out on the racetrack. And as they try to whoa up, thought maybe Buffoli was going to get a little bit of incident there. So we'll try to see what happened, what brought out this latest caution here on lap number 23. So at least it wasn't with the leaders this time. Let's see if we can find it. And it looks like Monticelli and Jordan not realizing, Monticelli not realizing that Jordan was down there, and turns him a little bit, just enough to bring out the yellow. So it looks like not the damage that appeared to be on Monticelli's truck, and maybe even Jordan's, was already there before. So it doesn't look like too big of an incident this time. But I guess another chance to catch the breath and get restarted. Maybe a little bit of contact there after he spun, so maybe a little bit more damage for that Ford truck, as he's going to dive down pit road, trying to straighten out those fenders just a little bit. As your top 5 right now: Currid, Eckhart, Josh Duke, Buffoli in the 08. It looks like he might be diving down pit road, or at least showing it. Tate Lytle in 5th spot in the number 56 truck. And it looks like the 08, no. Oh, that's coming out of exit. I'm mixed up. What end of the track we're on? I apologize for that. And a little bit of contact. I believe their lucky dog here is going to be that 20 truck of Shane DiMantova. Trying to get one of his laps back. He's 3 laps down. I believe now going 2, so he's going to try to salvage what he can out of the night and get a good point stands. I believe he was up there in the point standings as well. I believe coming into tonight, Shane DiMantova was 2nd in points. So he's looking to try to points race here a little bit after his contention for a win is no more. But yeah, again, once again, we kind of seen, we didn't run too many laps on this restart, but that top 10 kind of shuffled up quite a bit once again.
Yeah, we're starting to get the mirror once again on the amount of yellows that we've had from our second segment so far tonight at Dover and our second segment at New Hampshire last Thursday. Remember, a lot of yellows plagued that race. A lot of yellows came out. A lot of guys wrecking on the restarts off of turn 2. There were big crashes off the corners, and I think you're starting to see the same here. The worst part about this, Mike, is that New Hampshire at least has some sort of space to get around. There's a lot of space. Let's say if a guy gets collected in front of you, there's a big crash in front of you, you kind of can find out where you want to go, and there probably is a good enough amount of space to go down to the inside or the outside and get that room in order to get away from the incident and not get any contact. Here at Dover, if a crash happens in front of you, the space is very limited. Things narrow up very quick at this venue, and a track that's already fairly narrow in its own right just on the racetrack normally, under green flag conditions, under yellow when things start to get calamity or things start to get chaotic, it'll get even worse for drivers to try and pick that hole. I think a good example was Adam Tepe when you saw the driver in front of him going around of Ryan Litz. He tried to go to the inside and anticipated, but then the space wasn't there, then tried to go back up the track, and by that point he was already done and went straight into the side of him. So things are very narrow here at Dover, and for now we might just be on the verge of another restart as Dominic Cure continues to lead on the oldest tires of the field amongst the top 3.
Yeah, he's currently things are kind of falling his way. He's not using up those tires too much with all these cautions so far in this race, and I believe the pace truck lights are off and they're doubling up once again. We're gonna get back to racing, and again, like a lot of times you want to try to dive down towards the apron if you want to avoid a wreck. Here at Dover, there's nowhere to go. As you see how tight it is, you got that inside wall. That apron on the bottom is not a very good place to go. That transition from the concrete to the asphalt, it can create some havoc. As we'll see how they can fan out. We kind of thinned out the field quite a bit as we have 15 trucks on the lead lap. As Cruitt's going to lead them down to the green flag as the pace truck is on pit road. And here we go on restart on lap number 27 of 50. And the green flag is out. And there he goes. Number 5 truck, Cruitt's going to get a good jump. But again, that inside line looks like it's going to get a pretty good advantage. Get a whole shot going down into 1. As Bofelli, he's coming up to the 4th spot or 3rd spot. He saw him losing a few positions right before the caution came out. It's restarting on the outside. So the inside line is the preferred line to be in. You see Duke trying to get on the round. Bofelli on the outside, nothing doing. Here comes Tate Lytle on the inside in turn number 1. He's trying to get that advantage, but it might be a little bit too much. Coming out of 2. There they keep it clean. But behind them, they're trying to jockey for position as much as they can.
And remember, there are a lot of drivers here that we did not see perform well or get into incidents in that first segment. Tate Lytle being one of them. Harrison Tylon in the 23 also in that conversation. Drivers who got severe damage and was pretty much out of that race in the first segment. Now, guys, since they have the fresh race trucks and now they have clean trucks, they are able to carve their way through the field and perform the way they want to, aiming into tonight. Lytle being that one at the moment. You saw Bofelli able to hold off Josh Duke, but Duke now on the retaliation will look back to the inside. But what this is doing here, Mike, is this is slowly opening up the gap between the top 2, but it is still tight. 0.2 of a second. Eckert has been continuing to keep that number 5 in his sights.
Yeah, he's got him is locked in his sights, trying to close the gap, but right now they're just kind of staying steady at 1 and 2. Josh Duke, he is the furthest car up in that 32 machine, in 3rd on fresh rubber. Let's see if now that he's cleared in that 3rd position, if he can work his way up front to these top 2. Let's see Tate Lytle, I believe he's also got some fresher tires in that 4th spot as well, as they're going to try to climb up. But so far looking smart by staying out under caution on these 32 lap old tires. But again, not a lot of green flag racing, so might not be hindering them all too bad. as we see Westergreen trying to battle for position with Harrison Talion as we look out back of the 00 truck of Blake Barney, and that's the battle for the 9th position. And Westergreen's trying to salvage. He had a good run going in segment number 1. He's looking to try to repeat what he couldn't quite finish there. And he's going to try to take another spot away from the 08 truck of Bofelli. So Westergreen move him up into the 8th spot as Bofelli's on the outside position, not in a good spot you want to be. And here the battle for 6th spot. Dewar blocking Blake Barney a little bit going down into turn number 1. He wants to stay on that inside line. It's that preferred line to be in, but he's got a handful. Here comes Barney. He's going to shoot to the inside. And here we go. Well, that's Shane DiMantova. He's going a lap down. He's got some severe damage, but here's that battle for 3rd spot as Tate Lytle, he's looking for his revenge. He's going back up. He's making a move for that 3rd position, and he'll get that coming out of turn 2 if they can keep it clean, and they do.
Lytle able to take over for 3rd, so now the mission is to try and catch up to the rest of the guys within the top 2. But the question remains here, Mike. I think we're probably going to see the same thing we saw. Remember, our recent yellow didn't come that long ago. However, we might end up seeing another situation here where we might end up with the caution clock. If we get another 10 minutes here under green flag racing, remember, we've had a lot of attrition affect the way this field has shaked out. And for the most part now, everyone's separated. A lot of the drivers are not condensed anymore. So we might see a long green flag run here for the first time in segment 2. And we might see a caution clock again come in the waning stages of the race. Hopefully, maybe not the case at the moment, because it is all clear skies for Dominic Currid. He has now stretched his lead out to about a second, but don't look now. Tate Lytle is already creeping into 2nd, so he's catching Eckert lap by lap on the fresher tires. Josh Duke and Blake Barney also in that camp. So, but the guys on the fresh tires, they could be on the charge within the next couple laps here.
If that caution clock does come into play, this might play a big advantage for that 56 truck of Tate Lytle as he does move into the second position. As you see Barney as well in that 00 truck getting that advantage. But we've seen that in segment number 1. Looks like Ryan Lutz all but had it. But again, that caution clock came out, jumbled up the field, and kind of had differing pit strategies, and that kind of mired him back, and kind of what led to some of the calamity there as well in those last few green-white checkered restarts. So it's one of the crazy exciting things that just can happen here in OSCA with this caution clock, as if it does come out, it's only going to be with a couple laps to go, maybe a handful at best. And as we see some of these guys battle it out, as we see now Eckert kind of, those tires kind of showing their wear here a little bit as he's fallen into the clutches of that 00 truck of Blake Barney, and Barney will get to the inside, and it looks like he'll be able to pass Eckert for that 3rd position. But right behind him, Dusty Dewar in that 44 truck, and he's I think having a little bit of blinking issues, I do believe. But right now, so far so good for that 44 truck, as he's going to try to chase down and try to work his way back up that top 5. But we just seen Kenneth Lytle had a big ground to gain, but he's about a 1/10 of a lap faster right now than Cruitt, and he's looking to chase him down as Cruitt's trying to dig as hard as he can to hold him off, but I don't know if he can do it.
And he's gained about 5/10 within the past 3 to 4 laps, and here could be the shot right to the quarter panel of that Ford F-150, and to the inside he goes. Tate Lytle clear to the race lead in 3 and 4, so a new race leader here with just 8 laps to go. And a big question mark is, when will the caution clock come out, or even if we even get a caution clock, this could be the moment that will decide the race. Because remember, Currid has yet to pit. If a caution clock comes out, that will be the pure primetime effort for the 5 to be on equal footing and get fresh tires of his own. So we'll just have to see. But now again, fresh tires coming to the benefit as Barney is now closing in for 2nd.
Yeah, he's got those fresher tires. He's going to look to close in. I'm thinking, probably Cruitt was thinking maybe one more yellow, maybe a little bit of a shorter green flag run, I think is what he was hoping for, and it didn't quite pay off. As you see, those old tires are starting to show their wear. As we see that 44 truck, I hear he had some blinking issues, but he does work his way up into that 4th spot. Hopefully for him, he can get that solid run if internet does prevail there. as Josh Duke, we've seen him charging up towards the front earlier in this race. He's all the way back into the ace spot now, trying to hold off Westergreen, but Westergreen's going to look underneath, and he's going to try to sneak by as they battle side by side. But here we look at Tate Lytle, 1.2 second advantage. Just seeing how far and how quickly he's pulled away with this lead, and I bet you he's I'm hoping he's keeping both hands on the wheel, but if he isn't, he might be chewing his nails just a little bit, hoping that caution clock doesn't come out and wipe away this big lead.
Yeah, and that will be the deciding factor to this race, because within the final segment, we might see a yellow come out here. If anything stretches to the white flag, of course the yellow will not affect the way this race ends, but it'll have to be yellow right before the 56 crosses that white flag. And right now he may be at a battle with Blake Barney, if Barney has been able to catch up, but quite a bit of a chip in terms of the lead itself. Barney has been able to kind of close in just a little bit, but I don't think it's been too drastic to the point where Lytle might have to worry in his rearview mirror. Lytle will catch 3 laps to go from Dover, and now we just have to wait for the caution clock. But for Lytle, it's just going to be hitting your marks until the end of this segment.
Yeah, that's all he's got to do. He's maintaining that 1.3 second lead. Can he hang on? Will the caution clock come out? We'll find out here as they're coming down to 2 to go. As I believe now in the 3rd spot, Dewar is closing in on the number 5 truck of Cruitt, as he's going to try to take advantage of those fresh tires, see if he can get by that 5 truck if the caution clock doesn't come out, and also just 2 laps to go. Can he finish in the top 3? He's trying to dig hard. He's almost getting into the wall. He might be burning his stuff up just a little bit too much, but back out front, I think Barney's closing in ever so slightly, and I think they get to 1 to go. I believe we're good on the caution clock now, as Tate Lytle has got a 1.2 second lead. All he's got to do is cruise around 2 more corners here at Dover, as we see a car slowed on the bottom of the racetrack. Shouldn't be a factor to the finish. And Tate Lytle's coming out of turn 4. He wrecked early in the heat number 1. He salvages this by winning heat number 2 of the Suicide Awareness 100 here at Dover. Blake Barney will come home in 2nd, and Dominic Cruitt will bring that 5 truck home in 3rd. So all in all, I think, strategies paid off pretty well for pitting, but I think all in all, even for that 5 truck staying out, it was a pretty solid finish for how old his tires were.
And the attrition really helped Lytle and the rest of the guys who pitted out, because Barney and Lytle probably wouldn't have been in that position if they had stayed out, or if they had pitted a little bit earlier. That would have also affected the way the trucks handled and how much ground they were able to gain. But for Lytle, that long green flag run was the savior. Enough time to get all the positions, and according to the officials, as we were worried about that caution clock, there was only 1 minute left as Lytle crossed the start-finish line for the white flag, and now Lytle will celebrate deservingly on the front straightaway here at Dover.
Yeah, you see Lytle burning him down here. He is now the 2nd driver to get to be a repeat winner here in OSCA. Gerald Campbell was the only one who had that honor here before tonight, but Tate Lytle getting it done, winning another segment here at Dover. So congratulations to him, and just shows how you can make a night rebound after having a rough start here in segment number 1. And I believe we do have here quickly Chase Rogers in the 53 truck. He wants to do an interview here, so we'll bring him on quick. And Chase Rogers, how's it going on? How's it going tonight?
Good.
That's good. So what do you got for us?
It was a good race until I got wrecked first 5 laps in each race. I didn't get to race much tonight, but want to congratulate my friend and teammate Dominic here on the 3rd place.
That was a pretty solid run for him.
And I want to thank the team owner, PJ Merrill, and I really don't got any sponsors, but I want to thank Vic Bloom for putting on all the races. And I want to thank you guys for broadcasting. And thank you.
Sounds good. Yeah, it's a tough night for you there, but hopefully next week you can get back and salvage a night there. And as we're getting the top 3 finishers here of segment number 2, into the broadcast booth here, as we heard him say earlier, Dominic Cruitt finishing in the third position, and we'll bring him into the booth here. And Dominic, solid run there. You took that strategy of staying out on the old tires. Wasn't quite enough to win tonight, but solid third place finish.
Yeah, it was a good run for me. Yeah, I kind of played that strategy decent. I didn't think I could win it because the 56 was coming hard, and I knew he was going to get by me, but I also bounced off the wall too. But oh well, good debut for me.
Yeah, it was a very, very solid run. Hanging on to that third spot. Anyone out there you wanna thank?
I just got to thank my teammates, Gabriel Edwards and Chase Rogers. I also got to thank my team owner, PJ Merrill, for allowing me to run on his team.
Sounds good. Well, hopefully this is a build of momentum for you moving forward. What do you think you got for him next week at Martinsville?
I think I'll be pretty good at Martinsville. It's one of my better tracks on iRacing, so we'll see how it goes.
Sounds good. Well, best of luck to you, Dominic, and congratulations again on a solid finish here in segment number 2 in the Suicide Awareness 100. And up next, we have the 00 truck of Blake Barney. We've seen some exciting runs here from him for the past couple weeks. Finally gets the finish to show for it, Barney. How does it feel to finally get into that top 5 or top 3?
I mean, I really wanted to win tonight, but second place is also okay. I don't know.
Yeah, so you've seen once again kind of getting a little bit of issues there with the 36 truck. Are we seeing a little bit of a rivalry brewing between you two?
I guess, man. In the first race, I didn't have it. I thought I could stay out and have enough to win, get past that 6, but I didn't. I was stuck on the outside of the 20 truck and kind of really wasn't anywhere to go for him, but it is what it is. Second race, I thought I had a way better shot, and I blew it by missing my pit stall on pit road because I forgot that they switch each race by starting position. So trying to come from I just watched 11th, drove up to 2nd, so I can't really be mad at that, but just ran out of time.
Yeah, so close. I think a victory is coming soon for you. Kenneth, got anything for Barney?
Oh, Barney, this comes after the calamity that was New Hampshire. 2 short tracks to open this stint. And next week, we're going to capitalize it off with, I think, one of the shortest racetracks of them all, Martinsville Speedway. Are there any takeaways that you can bring from your experience in either segment from either New Hampshire or Dover to try and master into what might be a chaotic, again, filled race at Martinsville next week?
Yeah, man, these short tracks are tough because, you could, especially at the short tracks, it shows you could have the fastest car usually doesn't win because it's just madness. And short tracks are my specialty. They're where I'm fastest. 1.5 miles, I'm not as good. So that's why, I've been able to put together some runs, but just haven't been able to put all the pieces together to be up front. I'm really confident for Martinsville. It's probably one of my favorite racetracks. So we'll just see if we can survive.
Yeah, hopefully to survive you will, and hopefully you'll be able to break through and get into victory lane here in the OSCA series. But before we send you off, any shout outs that you want to do tonight?
Yeah, I just got to thank McConey Setup Shop and ID Racing.
Awesome, sounds good. Well, again, congratulations on finally getting a good finish, getting that second place run here tonight in segment number 2 of the Suicide Awareness 100. And best of luck to you in Martinsville.
Yeah, thanks, guys, for broadcasting this, too. It's awesome to watch.
Hey, thank you. Again, that was Blake Barney. Always puts on a good show. But again, a guy who put on a good show, able to salvage the night, able to have that tough luck in heat number 1, getting in the outside wall, getting into a wreck early. But that's why we have 2 segments. Tate Lytle, how's it feel to be in victory lane?
It feels pretty good. I considered not even racing the second race because I wrecked so early in the first race. But glad I did. Cool that I waited for Pro Edge. And yeah, was honestly kind of surprised I was able to drive up through there in the last 20 laps, but it was a fun green flag run.
Yeah, like I believe when you started, I can't remember which restart, you were kind of mired back out of the cars. That there's quite a few cars or trucks that stayed out, and did you think that you could run down Cruitt, staying out on those old tires, but yet not having that many green flag laps on them, or did you kind of think it was going to fall into your lap at that point?
Honestly, I've never raced with him before, so I had no idea what to expect. So yeah, I don't know. I wasn't sure even with 8 to go. I was like second and a half behind him. I was kind of convinced I was just going to run second unless we got a caution.
Yeah, but it was all of a sudden it seemed like either maybe his tires faded or you kind of turned the wick on, and it was a pretty good performance there at the end. You were the class of the field for sure in that second segment, and I also got to mention that we mentioned it before you got on into the waiting room here, that you're the second. You and Gerald Campbell are the only repeat winners here in the OSCA series. That's got to feel pretty special.
Yeah, it's pretty cool there. Yeah, always fun getting wins. I gotta say sorry to your buddy Dewar though. I was convinced I was clear, and clearly I was not clear by about 2 feet in that first race, and wrecked him and probably about 3 others plus myself. So gotta say sorry to old Dewar. Luckily he was a good sport about it and wasn't too upset, but yeah, quite the move. Yeah, thanks roommates.
Yeah, always fun to have roommates there. But what do you think you're going to have going next week into Martinsville? We know that we've seen Calamity here tonight. Are you expecting more of the same, or you're gonna be up front and kind of steer clear from it?
Hopefully the latter of those 2 options.
Always preferable, at least.
But with the inverts, I mean, it's hard to say. Even if you do have a good run in the first race, you could be as far back as 9th starting the second race, so you're never really too safe.
Yeah, that's for sure. Kenneth, you got anything for heat number 2 winner Tate Lytle?
Well, Ted, I think arguably the biggest part of this race, or at least the way both races filed out together, was strategy. Easily that the tires and people pitting, and depending on certain laps, depending on the cautions, where people decided to go down pit road, and then you made that key decision to go down pit road in one of the recent yellows, and then all of a sudden, green flag run comes in, and I think a pattern might start to emerge from the fold. Is there any sort of patterns that you might start to put in a key note here for a lot of these short track races, considering that there've either been longer green flag runs with chaos at the end, or chaos in the beginning, followed by long runs after?
Honestly, I really wasn't thinking too much about when I was going to pit. I just pitted because I knocked the wall down coming off of, might have been 2. I tried to get around the outside of the 24 and didn't realize how little grip there was on the outside. So I knocked the fence down and had to pit for like 50 seconds of repairs. So that's the only reason I pitted, to be honest.
Hey, and sometimes that's how the best strategy works out, is kind of when you're forced your hand. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But any shout outs you want to give before we let you celebrate this victory?
Yeah, Vic for letting me run, you guys, and Brent with Days Gone By, obviously, and then your buddy Dewar for not being too pissed off at me.
Just wait, he'll remember that. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure he's good.
It happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yep, you bet. Again, Tate Lytle. And again, Kenneth, with Tate Lytle getting that victory here in segment number 2, and with the trouble that Gerald Campbell had, I guess at first you look at it because he had the trouble early in segment number 1, and Campbell able to hang on to second. So it might stand pat overall as the point standings are concerned, as he was just a little bit outside looking in, because I believe he was 5th going into the standings after tonight. But with some of the trouble that Campbell had in segment number 2, it might have a little shake up in the point standings. We'll have to see how this plays out going into next week.
Yeah, that's certainly going to help Lytle's case for sure. And I think you mentioned it there right there in the interview. He's the only driver to have multiple wins in the OSCA series in either segment, along with Gerald Campbell. And I think with what Gerald Campbell has been suffering through tonight, and I think that second place finish surely will help him in points, but this segment will surely hurt him being taken out early. Lytle should get a good head of momentum going into Martinsville, but like it is always in everything ever in stock car racing, Martinsville is never easy. As you take a look at the season schedule right in front of your screen, Martinsville next to cap off a short track trio, and it's certainly going to be probably the more chaotic one out of them all.
Yeah, as you kind of heard, a lot of these guys almost looking forward to go to Martinsville, and what can happen? You know, you're at a short track, a lot of guys with some speed running up towards the front. It could be the little bit of a bull ring going on at the paperclip next week at Martinsville. We shall see what happens. Tuning in right back here next week at KBRN for the OSCA Series race at Martinsville next week. And again, congratulations to our heat winners, Austin Beers in the 99 truck and the 56 truck of Tate Lytle. Again, for Kenneth Bueno, I'm Mike Goodman. Thank you all for tuning in tonight to the Suicide Awareness 100 here at Dover. See you next time.